You think she can read that safety card? Marcus Wellington's voice cuts through row 12 like a blade through silk. His Rolex catches the overhead light 14 minutes slow, battery dying, though he doesn't know it yet. The cabin responds with scattered laughter, the kind that spreads like gasoline waiting for a match. Kesha Washington doesn't move. Seat 12B, middle seat, worst location on the Boeing 787. Her faded gray hoodie is pulled low hood, shadowing her face. Cornrows visible at the edges, neat but simple. No makeup. Worn Converse sneakers tucked under the seat ahead, laces double knotted. Military habit. The cabin lights flicker. Once. Twice. 3 times in rapid succession. Nobody notices except Kesha. Her eyes open beneath the hood, calm brown, tracking the fluorescent panels above. Calculating. The overhead lights stabilize, but something underneath the aircraft's hum has shifted. A low-frequency drone at 430 hertz. Abnormal. The APU generator is compensating for something. Marcus leans into the aisle, Evian bottle in hand, grinning at his audience. Seriously, does she even speak English? More laughter. Louder now. Kesha's right hand rests on the armrest. Index finger and thumb forming a 45-degree angle. The exact grip position for an F-35 side stick controller. Nobody sees it. 28 minutes from now, Marcus Wellington will stop laughing. JFK Terminal 1, Gate B-23, evening departure. The boarding pass scanner beeps, and gate agent Sandra Davis looks up with practiced sympathy. Seat 12B prints across her screen middle seat economy, the location airlines use to fill planes when nothing else sells. "Ma'am, I'm so sorry about the seat assignment," Sandra says, her voice soft with the pity reserved for passengers who clearly can't afford better. "We're completely full today." Kesha takes her boarding pass without comment. The paper is already creased from her pocket edges worn. She wears jeans with a rip at the left knee, not fashion, just use. The gray hoodie hangs loose 2 sizes too big, with a faint oil stain near the hem. Her canvas tote bag is military surplus OD green, the kind sold at Army-Navy stores for $12. She walks down the jet bridge. Fluorescent lights hum overhead at 60 hertz. Standard, expected. Business class begins at row 1. Leather seats, champagne service, warm towels. Grant Harlan sits in 8A polo shirt, pressed MacBook Pro, balanced on his lap fingers, flying across code he doesn't understand, but pretends to. He glances up as Kesha passes. His legs are stretched into the aisle. Expensive loafers, no socks, the tech CEO uniform. He pulls them back 6 inches as she approaches. Not for courtesy, for distance. "Excuse me," Kesha says quietly. Grant doesn't respond. Just moves his feet enough for her to squeeze past. His nose wrinkles slightly, as if poverty has a smell. Vivian Cross sits in 11C, 3 rows from Kesha's destination. 24 years old Michael Kors bag resting in her lap. iPhone 15 Pro Max, recording everything. Vivian films her latte films, her window view, films the business class cabin. When Kesha walks past, Vivian's thumb hovers over the screen. One quick photo. Caption typed rapid fire. When economy fashion meets first class dreams. Posted. 37 likes in 15 seconds. Kesha reaches row 12. Window seat occupied by a teenage boy with noise-canceling headphones, eyes closed head against the bulkhead. Aisle seat taken by a businessman, early 50s, Wall Street Journal, spread across his tray table. He doesn't look up. She slides into 12B, the middle seat. No armrest control, no window, no aisle access, just compressed space between 2 strangers who pretend she doesn't exist. Kesha buckles her seatbelt. 3 clicks to secure. Not 2, not 4. Exactly 3. She adjusts the strap tension tight enough to hold during 7 Gs, loose enough to breathe normally. Old habits. Her eyes move without her head turning. Counting rows to the nearest exit. 6 rows forward to the overwing emergency door. 18 steps at normal walking pace, 4.2 seconds if she runs. The exit placard is visible from here. Type A door, push-out design, 45 pounds of force required. Gust lock releases automatically when cabin pressure equalizes. She knows this without reading the card Marcus Wellington mocked. Behind her in row 13, Harold Peterson watches over the top of his newspaper. 72 years old, weathered hands scarred from decades around jet engines. Burn marks from hot metal, precise cuts from safety wire. Retired Chief Master Sergeant USAF. 30 years fixing aircraft that young pilots like Kesha broke and brought home anyway. He sees the way she moves, the economy of motion, the automatic check of exits, oxygen panel overhead life vest pouch beneath her seat. Harold folds his newspaper slowly, leans forward 2 inches, close enough to observe, far enough not to intrude. Kesha pulls out her phone. Casio G-Shock watch visible on her left wrist. Black resin scuffed bezel, analog hands overlaying digital display. Looks like a $50 watch. Actually costs $300 because it has a built-in altimeter, barometric pressure sensor, and compass. Standard issue for military aviators who need backup navigation if electronics fail. She opens Spotify, scrolls through playlists, selects one labeled pre-flight, but she doesn't put in her earbuds. Instead, she angles the phone screen to catch the reflection of the cabin behind her, watching, observing, cataloging threats and assets the way test pilots are trained to assess an aircraft before ever touching the controls. Derek Stone in 9D glances back at her. Lawyer, 50s, Brooks Brothers vest leather briefcase, the posture of someone accustomed to being obeyed. He catches the eye of flight attendant Paige Scott as she passes, leans into the aisle. "Excuse me, miss. Any chance I could move? The seating is uncomfortable." Paige follows his gaze, sees Kesha in the worn hoodie, the ripped jeans, the battered tote bag. "I'm sorry, sir. We're completely full tonight. All seats are assigned." Derek's jaw tightens. "I understand. Just thought I'd ask." Paige continues forward, but she's logged the interaction, noted the discomfort, the unspoken request to be moved away from that woman. She's also noted something else. Kesha's breathing. 4 counts inhale, 7 counts hold, 8 counts exhale. Paige has been a flight attendant for 12 years. She's seen panic attacks, anxiety fear. This isn't that. This is the breathing pattern taught to pilots to prevent hypoxia at altitude. Controlled, deliberate, automatic. Paige files the observation away and continues her pre-flight checks. The cabin door seals with a heavy metallic thunk. The jetway retracts. The APU whines as ground power disconnects. Kesha's eyes close again beneath the hood, but her right hand still rests on the armrest, thumb and index finger at 45 degrees. Harold Peterson sees it, recognizes it. He leans back in his seat and whispers to his wife, "That woman in 12B, she's military, pilot. I'd bet my pension on it." His wife glances forward, sees the hoodie, the ripped jeans. "Harold, she looks like she shops at Goodwill." "Exactly," Harold says quietly. "That's the point." The Boeing 787 pushes back from the gate with a pneumatic hiss. 22,000 pounds of thrust spooling up. The cabin vibrations settle into the familiar rhythm of taxi, smooth, mechanical, predictable. Marcus Wellington unbuckles. Flight attendant Paige Scott's voice comes immediately over the PA. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until we reach cruising altitude." Marcus ignores her. He stands, stretches theatrically, and opens the overhead bin above row 12. "Need to grab something," he announces to no one in particular. His carry-on Toomey bag sits 3 rows behind him in row 8, but the excuse serves its purpose. He positions himself in the aisle directly beside Kesha, close enough that his Armani vest brushes her shoulder. "So," he says, voice loud enough to carry 6 rows forward and back, First time flying, I remember my first flight. Must be exciting for you. Kesha doesn't respond, doesn't look up. Her eyes remain closed beneath the hood. Marcus grins wider. Oh, come on. Don't be shy. Where are you headed? Denver got family there. Or is this like a special occasion? Save up for 6 months to afford the ticket. Grant Harlan's voice floats from row 8. Dude, leave her alone. You're going to get us all in trouble. Marcus waves him off. Relax. I'm just being friendly. He leans closer to Kesha. You know, if you need help with the in-flight entertainment system, just ask. I know these screens can be confusing. Lots of buttons. The cabin has gone quiet. That particular silence that occurs when people know something uncomfortable is happening, but nobody wants to intervene. Vivian Cross tilts her phone camera, capturing Marcus's performance. Her TikTok is live now. 67 viewers watching in real time. Comments scrolling, OMG, this is cringe. Why is he harassing her? She looks so uncomfortable. Dr. Catherine Reed in 14B closes her medical journal. Gentlemen, please, let the woman be. Marcus straightens, mock offended. Oh, great, the PC police. Relax, doctor. I'm just stating facts. He gestures at Kesha's hoodie. Look at her clothes. That's not Lululemon. That's not even Target. That's straight up Goodwill clearance rack. Grant snorts from row 8. For real, though, check her phone. Bet it's got a cracked screen and no data plan. Marcus laughs. The sound is sharp performative, designed to include everyone in his joke at Kesha's expense. Let me guess, he continues, settling into the rhythm now. Android. Probably 3 generations old, still using a charging cable with exposed wires. Kesha's left hand moves, subtle, barely perceptible. Harold Peterson sees it from row 13. Her thumb and middle finger tap against her thigh in a specific sequence. Tap, tap, pause, tap, 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 pause, tap, Morse code, hotel, uniform, November, shun, harassing, unnecessary, noted. Harold's eyes narrow. That's not something you learn from YouTube. That's military communication training. Kesha opens her eyes, looks directly at Marcus for the first time. Her gaze is level, calm. The kind of calm that comes from staring down MiG-29s at 60,000 feet and deciding whether to engage or evade in 0.3 seconds. Sir, she says quietly, your Rolex is 14 minutes slow. The battery's dying. Probably why you keep checking it, but can't figure out why you feel rushed. The cabin goes silent. Marcus's hand instinctively goes to his wrist. He looks down at the Submariner $12,000 purchased to impress clients and sees the second hand stuttering. 14 minutes behind his phone's clock display. His face flushes red. Lucky guess. No, sir, Kesha says, voice still quiet. You gestured with your left hand 4 times in the last 2 minutes. Each time I saw the watch face reflected in the window behind you. The hour hand position was consistent. The minute hand lagged. Basic observation. Grant sits forward in his seat. Wait, how did you calculate reflection angle from geometry? Kesha interrupts. High school level. But it's not high school geometry. It's the spatial reasoning taught to fighter pilots who need to calculate bogey positions from radar reflections and HUD symbology while pulling 9 Gs and watching their 6. Marcus's jaw works silently. He wants to respond, wants to reassert dominance. But the casual precision of her observation has undercut his authority. Well, he finally says, forcing a laugh that sounds hollow even to him. Aren't you just full of surprises? We'll see how clever you are when turbulence hits. Bet you're the type who throws up in the bag. He retreats to row 8, sits heavily. Grant pats his shoulder in mock sympathy. Vivian's TikTok chat explodes. She ended him. Clock woman, rich dude. I need her energy. But Vivian doesn't stop filming. She angles the camera on Kesha's profile, adds a caption, main character energy or delusional posted. 143 likes in 30 seconds. Paige Scott walks past Kesha's row during final cabin checks. She pauses for half a second, makes eye contact. "Ma'am, can I get you anything?" "No, thank you, miss." Paige nods. But she's cataloged something else now. Kesha called her miss, not ma'am, not hey, not excuse me. Miss is what enlisted personnel call female officers. Old habit, hard to break. Paige continues forward, filing the observation with all the others. The aircraft turns onto the runway. Engines spool to takeoff thrust. The cabin vibrations intensify, predictable, mechanical, safe. Kesha closes her eyes again. Marcus Wellington watches her from row 8, nursing his wounded pride. He leans toward Grant and whispers, "Just wait. First bump of turbulence, she'll be crying for mommy." Grant nods, but he's no longer certain. Something about the way that woman sits, the stillness, the lack of fear, it's unsettling. Flight level 280, 28,000 feet above eastern Pennsylvania. The seatbelt sign chimes off. Passengers unbuckle, stretch reclined seats. The cabin settles into the familiar rhythm of cruise flight, predictable, boring, safe. Kesha remains buckled, eyes still closed, breathing still controlled. 478. The first turbulence hits at 1743 Zulu. Moderate, the kind that makes coffee ripple in cups, but doesn't spill. The kind frequent flyers ignore, and nervous flyers grip armrests over. The seatbelt sign chimes back on. Paige Scott's voice, "Flight attendants, please be seated." This is unusual. They're only 30 minutes into a 2-hour, 40-minute flight. Moderate turbulence shouldn't require crew to sit down unless the aircraft drops. Not a gentle sink. A stomach-lifting 200-foot instant loss of altitude that sends unsecured items airborne. A laptop in row 15, a purse in row 9. Someone's reading glasses tumbling through the cabin like leaves. Screams erupt. Brief, instinctive. The aircraft stabilizes. But the vibration underneath hasn't stopped. It's continuous now. A low-frequency shudder at 12 hertz. Like driving over rumble strips on a highway, but 30,000 feet up, where rumble strips don't exist. Harold Peterson's hands grip his armrests. Not from fear, from recognition. He flew through this exact sensation in a C-130 over Kandahar in '91. Atmospheric shear, the kind that precedes severe weather cells. But according to the flight deck announcement 15 minutes ago, weather ahead was clear. Kesha's eyes open beneath the hood. Her feet shift position. Flat on the floor, shoulder-width apart, core engaged. Not the white-knuckle terror of a nervous passenger. The balanced stance of someone preparing for catastrophic decompression. Her right hand moves to the seatbelt buckle. Not to release it, to check tension. 3 notches tight. Correct. Her left hand moves to the life vest pouch beneath her seat. Touches it briefly. Confirms presence without looking. Her eyes track the overhead panel. 3 rows forward, the oxygen mask compartment door for row 9 has a hairline gap. 0.5 millimeters. Most passengers wouldn't notice. Kesha notices. That door is supposed to be flush sealed. The gap means cabin pressure has fluctuated, not enough to trigger deployment, but enough to unseat the retaining clip. She looks at the window beside the teenage boy in 12A. Ice crystals are forming at the leading edge, visible in the refracted sunlight. Small, delicate, growing. At 28,000 feet outside, air temperature is negative 40 Celsius. Ice shouldn't form on the fuselage exterior at cruise unless the turbulence hits again. Harder. The overhead bin in row 9 pops open. Derek Stone's laptop bag tumbles out, arcing through the air with the lazy rotation of 0G. Kesha moves. She unbuckles, stands, crosses the aisle in 2 steps. Her right hand intercepts the laptop bag mid-flight. Reaction time, 0.18 seconds. Fighter pilot reflex, the kind you can't fake. The kind that only comes from 10,000 hours dodging surface-to-air missiles and training sorties where half a second means the difference between alive and dead. She hands the bag to Derek. "Sir." Derek stares at her. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. "How did you... That was you moved before it even..." "Reflex," Kesha says. She returns to 12B, buckles in, closes her eyes again. But Derek keeps staring. So does Grant. So does Marcus. Harold Peterson leans forward. His voice is low, meant only for Kesha. "Miss, I don't mean to pry, but are you military?" Kesha doesn't turn. "No, sir. I just like to be prepared." "Uh-huh." Harold's tone says he doesn't believe her for a second. "What branch?" "I'm not military, sir." "I was Air Force for 30 years. Chief Master Sergeant, crew chief on F-15s, F-16s, some classified platforms I can't talk about. I know fighter pilot reflexes when I see them." Keisha's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "Sir, I appreciate your service, but I'm just a passenger." Harold sits back. He doesn't push, but he's seen enough. The way she moved, the reaction time, the economy of motion, the automatic check of exits life vest oxygen panel. That's not something you learn from online videos or flight simulator games. That's 10,000 hours in a cockpit where mistakes kill you. He pulls out his phone, opens a text to his wife beside him. 12B is military pilot. I guarantee it. His wife glances forward at Kesha's worn hoodie and ripped jeans. Types back, "Harold, she looks homeless." Harold types, "Exactly. That's why nobody sees her." The turbulence continues. Continuous moderate. The kind that makes flight attendants nervous because it shouldn't be happening at this altitude in clear air. Captain Ray Mitchell's voice comes over the PA. Professional. Calm. But with an undertone that experienced travelers recognize as concern. "Folks, this is your captain. We're experiencing some unexpected weather. Nothing to be alarmed about, but I'm going to keep the seatbelt sign on for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Flight attendants, please remain seated." Kesha reaches into her tote bag, pulls out a tissue. The edge of her military CAC Common Access card flashes olive drab green. Harold sees it, the unmistakable color of Department of Defense identification. Kesha wipes her nose, returns the tissue to her bag. The CAC disappears again, but Harold has seen enough. He doesn't say anything, just nods to himself. First Officer Evan Brooks emerges from the cockpit. Young, 27 years old. His uniform is crisp, his movements efficient, but his eyes have the slight widening of someone encountering something unexpected. He walks down the aisle, checking overhead bins that popped open. He reaches row 12. His eyes meet Kesha's for exactly 1 second. Something passes between them. Recognition, not of each other, but of a shared understanding. Evan sees the way she sits, balanced, ready, calm in a way that civilians aren't during continuous moderate turbulence. Kesha sees the way he holds his shoulders, tight, too tight. The posture of a pilot fighting controls that aren't responding the way they should. Evan continues to the rear galley, returns to the cockpit, seals the door. Kesha pulls out her phone, checks her G-Shock watch. The barometric pressure reading has dropped 8 millibars in 4 minutes. She whispers to herself, barely audible, "That's not weather." Harold Peterson hears it anyway. His blood goes cold, because she's right. 10 minutes pass. The turbulence doesn't clear. If anything, it intensifies. Continuous moderate becomes continuous severe. The aircraft bucks and shudders like a car on a dirt road. Overhead bins rattle. The galley carts shake in their locked positions. A flight attendant in the rear cabin grabs a seat back to steady herself. The cabin lights flicker. Once, twice. Then the chime. 3 ascending tones. Emergency signal. Paige Scott's voice tight with professional control. Flight attendants remain seated. That's not procedure. Standard announcement is, flight attendants, please be seated. The omission of please means the flight deck has escalated the situation. Marcus Wellington unbuckles despite the command. Stands. His face is pale, but his voice carries that particular aggressive tone men use when fear is disguised as anger. Hey, Captain, how about some communication up there? Or are you too busy to talk to us peasants back here? Grant joins him standing in the aisle, his MacBook forgotten. This is unacceptable. I have a board meeting in Denver at 4 p.m. I need to know what's happening. Derek Stone and 9D, they're required to tell us if there's danger. That's FAA regulation. The cabin lights flicker again. This time, they dim for a full 2 seconds before recovering. Several passengers gasp. A child 3 rows back starts crying. Her mother pulls her close, whispering reassurances that sound hollow even from 6 rows away. Vivian Cross's TikTok is live again. 340 viewers now. Comments flooding, "Are they crashing? This is terrifying. Why aren't the pilots saying anything?" The aircraft drops again, harder, 300 feet in 2 seconds. Coffee cups fly from armrests. A carry-on bag tumbles from an overhead bin, striking the seat back in row 14 with a hollow thud. More screams, louder now, no longer brief, sustained. Marcus's voice cuts through the chaos. "This is bullshit, Captain, answer us." The IFE screen's in-flight entertainment glitch. Pixels scramble. Then they reboot, showing the blue loading screen with the airline logo spinning. Kesha's eyes are open now, watching. Not the screens, the cockpit door. It's not fully closed. There's a 2-inch gap where the crew left it slightly ajar for airflow during taxi. Standard practice that nobody corrected after takeoff because everyone got busy. Through that gap, Kesha can see the edge of the center pedestal, the glare shield, and most importantly, the ICAS display engine indication and crew alerting system. An amber light is illuminated, master caution. Below it, a text message in white letters on black background, Elec Bus 1 fault. Kesha's blood goes cold. Electrical Bus 1 is one of 4 independent power systems on a 787. It supplies the left side avionics flight control computers and navigation instruments. A fault means it's either offline or degraded. If a second bus fails, the aircraft loses redundancy. If a third fails, they're down to emergency backup power. If all 4 fail, she unbuckles, stands, walks toward the forward galley. Paige Scott is strapped into the jump seat facing aft. Her eyes are wide, but her training holds. "Ma'am, please return to your seat." Kesha leans close, whispers so only Paige can hear. "Your electrical bus 1 is faulting. Check with the pilots. It could cascade to ice detection failure." Paige stares at her. "How do you know?" Derek Stone is there before she can finish. He grabs Kesha's arm. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to control. "She doesn't know anything," Derek snaps. "She's trying to cause panic. I'm a lawyer, and this is reckless endangerment of passengers. That's a federal crime." Marcus appears beside Derek, backing him up. "Exactly, Captain. We have a passenger up here trying to spread panic. She's saying things about electrical failures. This woman needs to be restrained." Kesha doesn't resist Derek's grip, doesn't pull away, just looks him in the eye with that same level calm. "Sir, I'm not trying to cause panic. I'm trying to prevent a worse situation." "You're not qualified to assess anything," Marcus shouts. "You're a nobody in a hoodie. Captain Mitchell, we need you back here now." The cockpit door opens. Captain Ray Mitchell emerges. 58 years old, 20,000 hours, silver hair, weathered face, the bearing of someone who's seen everything commercial aviation can throw at a pilot. But right now, his face is drawn, pale. His left hand clutches his chest briefly before dropping to his side. "Folks," he says, voice strained, "please return to your seats. Everything is under control." But Kesha sees what others don't. The slight tremor in his right hand, the way his breathing is shallow and rapid, the sheen of sweat on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Those are cardiac symptoms, early stages, maybe 10 minutes before full arrest. Mitchell's eyes scan the cabin, land on Derek still gripping Kesha's arm. "Sir, release her and sit down." Derek complies, but he points at Kesha. "Captain, this woman was spreading false information about electrical problems. She's dangerous." Mitchell looks at Kesha, really looks. His pilot's eye sees what the passengers don't. The way she stands, balanced, grounded. The way her eyes have already assessed exits, oxygen panels, fire extinguishers. "Ma'am," he says quietly. "Are you aviation?" Kesha hesitates. "1 second. "Then I have some experience, sir." "What kind?" "The kind that recognizes ELEC Bus 1 fault on your ICAS display." Mitchell's eyes widen. The cockpit door is only 2 inches open. The ICAS display is angled away from the cabin. There's no way a civilian passenger should know what's showing unless "Return to your seat," Mitchell says, not unkindly, but final. Kesha nods, walks back to 12B without another word. Marcus watches her go, leans toward Grant. "Did you hear that I have some experience?" Like reading Wikipedia makes her an expert. Grant nods, but he's less certain now. "Yeah, probably watched some YouTube videos." Vivian's TikTok chat is exploding. 460 viewers. She's lying for attention. No way she knows anything. Main character syndrome. Captain Mitchell returns to the cockpit, closes the door, this time fully sealed. 2 minutes later, his voice comes over the PA. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain. We're experiencing some minor electrical issues. Nothing to be concerned about at this time. We're running through our checklists. Please remain seated with seatbelts fastened." Minor electrical issues. Kesha closes her eyes. Calculates. Electrical bus 1 failure plus unexplained turbulence plus ice formation at cruise altitude equals cascading systems failure. Probably related to pitot-static icing affecting airspeed sensors, which is causing the autopilot to fight phantom wind shear that doesn't exist, which is stressing the electrical system beyond normal parameters. If bus 2 fails, and it will, because whatever damaged bus 1 is environmental, which means it's affecting multiple systems simultaneously, they'll lose navigation weather radar and TCAS. Flying blind in deteriorating weather with degraded electrical power. She opens her eyes, looks at Harold Peterson in row 13. He's already looking back at her. He mouths 2 words, "You're right." 5 minutes pass. The turbulence doesn't stop. It evolves. Continuous severe becomes violent. The kind that makes seasoned pilots grip the yoke with white knuckles and pray their airframe holds together. The ECAS display that Kesha glimpsed through the cockpit gap now shows a second amber light. ELEC Bus 2. Fault 2 of 4 electrical systems offline. The aircraft is running on degraded redundancy. 1 more failure, and they're into emergency backup power. A third message appears below the first 2. This one in white text that seems to pulse with urgency. ICE, detect, fail. Kesha's prediction was correct. The electrical failures have cascaded to the ice protection system. The aircraft can no longer sense ice accumulation on the wings, engines, or pitot probes. They're flying blind into conditions that could kill them. Captain Mitchell stumbles out of the cockpit. His face is gray, not pale gray, the color of insufficient oxygen reaching tissue. His left hand clutches his chest fingers, digging into the fabric of his uniform shirt. His right hand grabs the bulkhead for support. He takes 3 steps into the galley and collapses. Not a dramatic fall, just a sudden loss of skeletal support like a marionette whose strings have been cut. He hits the galley floor with a dull thud that carries through the cabin despite the turbulence. Dr. Catherine Reed unbuckles before Paige Scott can react. She's at Mitchell's side in 4 seconds, fingers on his carotid artery, eyes on his chest. He's having an MI, Catherine announces. Myocardial infarction. Heart attack. Paige, I need the AED now. Paige moves with trained efficiency, pulling the automated external defibrillator from the wall mount. But her hands shake as she tears open the package. Because if the captain is down, that leaves only First Officer Evan Brooks appears in the cockpit doorway. 27 years old. 1,200 hours total time. 300 hours in type. His face is the color of chalk. His voice breaks over the PA. Ladies and gentlemen, this is First Officer Brooks. Captain Mitchell is receiving medical attention. We have a medical emergency. If there's a doctor on board, please identify yourself immediately. Catherine calls out, I'm a cardiologist. I'm with him. Evan's voice again, higher now, threading with panic. Thank you, doctor. And if anyone on board has pilot experience, any pilot experience at all, we need you to identify yourself now. Silence. 244 passengers. Not one hand raises. The cabin holds its collective breath. The kind of silence that descends when everyone simultaneously realizes they might die. Evan's voice cracks. Please, anyone, any flight training, anything. Kesha stands. She doesn't announce herself, doesn't call out, just unbuckles, rises from 12B, and walks toward the cockpit with the same calm precision she's maintained since boarding. Marcus Wellington sees her first. Oh, this is rich! His laugh is sharp, hysterical. The hoodie lady thinks she can fly a 787 Evan. Are you seeing this? Grant stands blocking the aisle. This is insane. Evan, don't listen to her. She's clearly mentally unstable. Vivian's phone is up again, recording everything. Her viewers have multiplied. 873 people watching live as Kesha approaches the cockpit. Comments flooding faster than she can read them. Derek Stone moves fastest. He positions himself directly in front of the cockpit door, arms crossed. His lawyer's voice carries the full weight of assumed authority. I'm not letting you in that cockpit. You're a danger to everyone on this aircraft. Kesha stops 2 feet from him. Her voice remains level. Sir First Officer Brooks asked for pilot experience. I have that experience. Prove it, Derek demands. Show us your credentials. Kesha reaches into her tote bag, pulls out her military common access card. The olive drab green plastic catches the overhead lights. Marcus snatches it from her hand before she can offer it to Evan. This is expired. He holds it up like evidence in a trial. Look, expiration date was 8 months ago. She's a fake. She probably found this online or bought it at some surplus store. Derek leans forward, examining the card. Impersonating a military officer is a federal offense. Impersonating a pilot during a flight emergency, that's domestic terrorism. I'm not impersonating anyone, Kesha says quietly. The card is real. It expired because I separated from service to care for my mother. Convenient excuse, Marcus sneers. Evan. This woman is lying. She's probably never been near a cockpit in her life. Grant joins the chorus. If she was really military, why didn't she say anything before? Why wait until now? She's an attention seeker, crisis voyeur. We see it all the time on social media. Harold Peterson unbuckles. 72 years old, but he moves with authority that transcends age. He walks forward until he's standing beside Kesha. That CAC is real, son. His voice carries 30 years of military bearing. I was USAF for 3 decades. You can't fake those chips, the magnetic strips, the holographic overlay. This is Department of Defense issued. Marcus rounds on him. Then why is it expired? If she's so qualified, why did she get kicked out? I wasn't kicked out, Kesha says. I separated voluntarily for family medical reasons. So you say, Derek counters, but we have no proof, no current credentials, no verification. For all we know, you failed out of training and they discharged you. The aircraft drops again, 200 feet in 1 second, the violent kind that sends stomachs into throats and tears prayers from atheists. Oxygen masks deploy in rows 10 through 15. Yellow panels drop from overhead compartments, plastic masks dangling on rubber tubes. Not full deployment, just partial. A malfunction triggered by the electrical cascades and pressure fluctuations. The cabin erupts into screaming, children wailing, adults shouting, panic spreading like fire in dry brush. Evan Brooks's voice over the PA no longer professional, just desperate. Folks, please remain calm. The partial mask deployment is a malfunction. Do not put them on unless instructed. I repeat, do not. His voice cuts off mid-sentence. Through the open cockpit door, Kesha hears the stall warning. A mechanical voice synthesized and calm. Despite the emergency, it announces, stall, stall, stall. The aircraft is approaching aerodynamic stall. The angle of attack is too high. The wings are losing lift. In approximately 8 seconds, they will depart controlled flight and enter a spin. Kesha's voice cuts through the chaos, not shouting, just projected. Command voice. The kind that makes people listen even when their hindbrain is screaming to run. First Officer Brooks, read me your airspeed and altitude, now. Evan's response is immediate automatic responding to authority. He doesn't consciously recognize. 230 knots, no 220, descending through 24,000. Weight 23,500, it's dropping fast. You're in an ice-induced stall, Kesha calls through the door. Deploy wing anti-ice immediately, full power, and pitch down 5 degrees. Don't fight it. You need airspeed back. But we're already descending. Pitch down now. Evan complies. Training overrides fear. The stall warning stops. The aircraft's descent stabilizes. Airspeed begins climbing back to safe parameters. Marcus grabs Kesha's shoulder. She got lucky. That's all, Evan. Don't listen to anything else she says. Derek positions himself physically in front of the cockpit door, arms spread. I'm a lawyer. I'm documenting all of this. When we land, if we land, I'm filing charges against you, the airline, and everyone who enabled this fraud. Grant films everything on his phone. 8 minutes of evidence. This woman coerced a young pilot into dangerous maneuvers. I'm uploading this to the FAA the second we're on the ground. Catherine Reed looks up from Captain Mitchell's unconscious form. He's stable, but critical. He needs a cardiac catheterization within 2 hours or he'll die. Kesha, can we make it? Kesha meets her eyes. Yes, ma'am. If they let me help. Marcus's voice rises to a shout. Nobody is letting you do anything. Evan locked the cockpit door. Keep this lunatic out. Derek and Marcus position themselves shoulder to shoulder, blocking the cockpit entrance completely. Kesha doesn't fight them, doesn't argue, just returns to 12B and sits down. Harold follows, leans close, whispers, "They're fools. You just saved us." Kesha buckles her seatbelt. "Not yet, sir. This is just beginning." Evan Brooks's voice returns over the PA. The professional veneer is gone. What remains is a 27-year-old with 1,200 hours facing the scenario every pilot dreads alone in a dying aircraft, with lives depending on decisions he's not qualified to make. Ladies and gentlemen, this is First Officer Brooks. I am declaring an emergency. We are experiencing multiple systems failures due to icing conditions. Captain Mitchell is receiving medical care. I am diverting to Denver International Airport. Estimated time to landing is 22 minutes. Please remain seated with seatbelts securely fastened. 22 minutes, an eternity at 30 knots. A heartbeat at 250 knots indicated airspeed. Through the cockpit door gap, still not fully sealed because Derek and Marcus are blocking it, Kesha watches the ECAS display update with new failures. ELEC Bus 3. Fault 3 of 4 electrical systems now offline. The aircraft is running on a single backup bus. No redundancy, no safety margin. One more failure, and they're flying a 300-ton glider. A second message appears, pitot heat fail. The pitot tubes, small probes on the aircraft's nose that measure airspeed, have lost their anti-ice heating. Ice is forming inside them right now, blocking airflow, giving false readings. The pilots can no longer trust their airspeed indicators. A third message, this one, in amber ADI, fail attitude director indicator. The artificial horizon, the instrument that tells pilots which way is up when they can't see the ground, gone. Evan is flying with degraded instruments, no captain, no autopilot, and an aircraft that's accumulating ice at an exponential rate. Kesha does the math in her head. Ice accumulates approximately 2 inches per minute in these conditions. They've been in icing for 10 minutes, 20 inches of ice on the wing leading edges. NASA studies show that ice accumulation causes a 30% loss of lift per inch. 20 inches equals 600% lift loss. Except that's impossible. You can't lose more than 100%. The equation breaks because the aircraft would have stalled by now, which means the wings are shedding ice asymmetrically. Random chunks breaking off, creating uneven lift, causing the aircraft to roll unpredictably. 22 minutes to Denver at 2 inches per minute equals 44 inches of ice accumulation. Stall speed will increase from 130 knots clean to approximately 180 knots ice contaminated. Runway 16R at Denver International is 12,000 feet long. Landing a 787 with asymmetric ice single approach attempt, degraded instruments, and a first officer who's never hand-flown an approach in full manual mode, they'll need every inch of that runway, maybe more. Marcus Wellington's voice carries from row 8. Evan, can you do this? Be honest with us. The pause before Evan responds is 3 seconds too long. I'll try my best. Try. Derek's voice cracks. We need someone who knows what they're doing. Kesha unbuckles again, stands, walks forward. First Officer Brooks, I can talk you through it. Grant blocks her immediately. Sit down, you're not qualified. Your card is expired. I've logged 3,800 hours in high-performance aircraft, Kesha says calmly, including full electrical failure scenarios, recovery from ice-induced stall, single-engine approaches, everything you're about to face. Vivian's voice shrill, prove it. Show us your logbook. Show us anything that proves you're not lying. My logbook is classified, Marcus explodes. Classified, lady? You're delusional. Evan, ignore her. We'll sue you if you listen to this fraud. We'll sue the airline. We'll sue everyone. Derek points at her like she's evidence. The second we land, you're under arrest. Impersonating a pilot, interfering with flight crew, coercion. That's 20 years federal prison. Kesha doesn't respond to them, just looks at Evan through the cockpit door gap. First officer, it's your decision, but I'm here if you need me. Evan's hands shake on the yoke. He's alone. Captain Mitchell unconscious in the galley. Dr. Catherine performing CPR. 244 souls depending on him, and the only person offering help is a woman in a stained hoodie who 3 rows of passengers are calling a fraud. Evan's voice breaks. I need to focus on flying. Kesha nods. Returns to 12B. Harold leans forward. He's terrified. He knows he can't do it alone. Yes, sir. But they've backed him into a corner. If he accepts my help now, Marcus and Derek will claim he was coerced. It's a legal trap. So what do we do? Kesha looks at her G-Shock watch. The barometric altimeter shows 23,000 feet and descending, 18 minutes to Denver. We wait until the situation becomes undeniable. And if that's too late, Kesha doesn't answer. Evan's voice over the radio, picked up by speakers in the cabin as he switches to PA-coupled frequency, Denver approach United 2758, heavy declaring, Mayday, 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 multiple electrical failures, icing, Captain incapacitated. Requesting priority, runway 16 right. The response comes through clearly, a woman's voice, professional calm, but with urgency underneath. United 2758, heavy Denver approach, roger your mayday. Runway 16 right is yours. Winds 150 at 22 knots, gusting 30. Visibility 1 mile in snow. Altimeter 3002. Are you able to accept these conditions? A pause. Too long. Denver, I think so. Not confidence. Uncertainty transmitted on frequency for everyone to hear. United 2758 state souls on board and fuel remaining. 244 souls. 2,000 pounds fuel. Copy. Emergency equipment is rolling. Crash fire rescue will be standing by. The word crash sends a ripple of fresh panic through the cabin. Someone sobs. Someone else prays in Spanish. A man in row 17 vomits into the seat pocket. The aircraft shudders violently. Not turbulence, something mechanical. A sound like a gunshot echoes through the fuselage, then another, then 3 in rapid succession. Ice, breaking off the wing leading edges, chunks the size of dinner plates launching into space, some striking the fuselage with metallic thunk-thunk-thunk impacts. But the shedding is asymmetric. More ice breaking off the right wing than the left. The aircraft rolls right, 20 degrees in 2 seconds, uncontrolled. Evan's voice panicked, "We're rolling, I can't stop it." Passengers scream. Overhead bins pop open. Carry-on bags tumble. Someone's laptop slides down the aisle like a hockey puck. Kesha unbuckles. Stans moves to the cockpit door in 3 steps. Her voice cuts through the chaos. Bank left, Evan, bank left now. What? That's the wrong direction. Trust me, roll into the ice loss, don't fight it. Evan hesitates. Every instinct, every hour of training says to roll away from the upset. Level the wings. But the aircraft is already 25 degrees right and accelerating. Harold Peterson's voice booms from row 13. Do it. Son, she knows. Evan rolls left. Full left aileron. The aircraft responds sluggishly like a car with flat tires. But it responds. 30 degrees left bank. The asymmetric ice distribution now works with gravity instead of against it. The roll stabilizes. The wings find equilibrium. Level flight. The cabin exhales collectively. The radio crackles. United 2758, good recovery. Altimeter shows you're back on profile. Who's advising your first officer? Evan's voice shaky. Denver. I have a passenger with aviation experience. She's helping. A pause. Then, United 2758, put her on. Paige Scott appears with a cockpit handset. Extends it toward Kesha. Marcus tries to grab it. Catherine Reed, still performing chest compressions on Captain Mitchell, blocks him with her body. Move, Catherine says flatly. Not a request. Marcus retreats. Kesha takes the handset. Denver approach, this is passenger Kesha Washington, former military. I'm advising First Officer Brooks on ice management and manual approach procedures. The voice on the other end. Commander Sarah Rodriguez, though Kesha doesn't know it yet, is skeptical but urgent. Copy, Ms. Washington. What's your plan for approach? We'll maintain 180 knots above stall speed with current ice accumulation. Descend at 1,200 feet per minute to minimize time in icing layer. Flaps 15 only. Full flaps will stall us. Expect long landing roll with degraded braking. A pause. Longer than normal. Sarah is conferring with her supervisor. Understood, United 2758. You're cleared direct Kopli intersection. Descend pilot's discretion. Advise when runway in sight. Evan's voice through the handset. Thank you, I didn't catch your name. Kesha. Focus on pitch and power, Evan. I'll call your altitudes. Marcus is apoplectic. This is illegal. She's not crew. She's not authorized, Evan. When we land, you're fired. The airline will be sued into oblivion. Derek pulls out his phone filming. I'm documenting everything. Every word. Every decision. This is evidence. Grant joins in. This is insane. Clinically insane. We're trusting our lives to a woman in a Goodwill hoodie. Kesha ignores them. Keys the handset. Evan current altitude. 23,000 descending through. Good. Target 180 knots airspeed. If you get slow, you'll stall. If you get fast, you'll overshoot. Copy. The aircraft descends steadily. Kesha calls altitudes every 1,000 feet. 22,000, 21,000, descending 1,200 feet per minute. Airspeed 182 knots holding. Harold whispers to his wife, she's not reading instruments. She's feeling the aircraft. That's 4,000-hour instinct. You can't fake that. Dr. Catherine looks up from Mitchell's unconscious form. He's stable, but needs surgery within 2 hours. Kesha, can we make it? Kesha meets her eyes. Yes, ma'am. 14 minutes. The aircraft shudders as more ice breaks free, but the descent is controlled. Steady. Professional. For the first time since the emergency began, some passengers stop crying. They're split now. Half still terrified of Kesha, convinced she's leading them to death. Half beginning to trust the calm precision of her voice, the way she calls altitudes exactly right, the way Evan's responses become more confident when she guides him. Vivian Cross's TikTok has 1,100 viewers. The comment section is chaos. She's saving them or killing them. I can't watch. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. 13 minutes to Denver. 10 miles from Denver International Airport, descending through 8,000 feet. The Front Range Mountains visible through breaks in cloud snow-capped peaks, glowing in late afternoon sun. Almost there. The EICAS display pulses with a new alarm. Red this time, not amber. ENG-1, oil press. Low engine 1. The left engine is losing oil pressure. The ice accumulation has damaged the oil cooler inlet. Metal-on-metal friction without lubrication. In approximately 90 seconds, that engine will seize. Evan's voice cracks. Kesha. Engine 1 is failing. Shut it down. She responds immediately. Single engine landing. You can do this. Marcus Wellington's scream echoes through the cabin. What, you're insane. Evan's voice shakes. I've never landed single engine in a 787. I've only done it in simulator. Today, you do it for real. Keep engine 2 at 85% thrust. I'll call the approach. Sarah Rodriguez's voice over ATC frequency. United 2758, advise souls on board and fuel remaining. 244 souls, 2,000 pounds fuel. Copy. Runway 16 right foam applied. Fire equipment standing by. Foam. The word crystallizes everything. Foam means they're expecting a crash. Foam means the fire trucks will be racing alongside the runway as they land. Foam means survival is uncertain. The cabin erupts. Crying becomes wailing. Praying becomes screaming. Vivian drops her phone. Grant stops filming. Derek Stone, the lawyer who threatened to arrest Kesha, grips his armrest with white knuckles and whispers, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." Kesha's voice steady. Evan, 5 miles. Lower the landing gear. Gear coming down. 3 heavy clunks as the wheels extend and lock. 3 green lights. Gear down and locked. Flaps 15. Flaps 15 set. The aircraft configuration changes. More drag. Lower speed. Slower response to control inputs. And then the EICAS shows new trouble. Flaps asymmetric. The left wing flaps have extended to 15 degrees. The right wing flaps are stuck at 10 degrees. Ice has jammed the mechanism. Asymmetric flaps mean asymmetric lift. The aircraft begins rolling left. Slowly at first, then faster. Evan's voice breaks. Kesha, flaps are asymmetric. I can't hold center line. Right aileron full deflection. Add 5% thrust on engine 2. Evan complies. The aircraft levels. But now they're in a precarious balance full right. Aileron fighting asymmetric flaps, extra thrust, compensating every control input magnified. And they're descending too fast. Vertical speed, 1,800 feet per minute, Kesha calls. Reduced to 800. I'm trying, controls are sluggish, Sarah's voice. United 2758, you're below glide slope. Altitude should be 6,000 at 4 miles. You're reading 5,200. Critically low. We're ice heavy, Kesha responds. Can't climb without stalling. The mathematics are unforgiving. Too low to recover. Too heavy to climb. Single engine. Asymmetric flaps. Runway 3 miles ahead, but they might not make it. Evan's voice breaking. Kesha, I don't think I can't. Evan, listen to me. Kesha's voice cuts through his panic like a blade. You're going to fly this aircraft into a spiral descent against every instinct you have. Do you trust me? Spiral descent. That's for fighter jets. It's also for ice-laden transports. You'll lose altitude in a controlled turn. The airflow will break ice off the wings. Then we roll out on final. It's called the Mirage Protocol. Marcus, that's suicide. Evan, don't listen to her. Harold Peterson stands his 72-year-old frame, rigid with authority. Son, do what she says. I saw this maneuver in Desert Storm. C-130 cargo plane, ice accumulation Kandahar. Pilot spiraled down, broke the ice, landed safe. Do it. Derek Stone. If we die, I swear to God. You'll be too dead to sue anyone. Harold snaps. Evan, trust her. Evan's breathing is ragged over the radio. 244 souls. His hands on the yoke. A woman he doesn't know telling him to do something that sounds impossible. Okay. His voice cracks. Okay. I'll do it. Tell me how. Kesha. Bank left 30 degrees. Hold it. Don't fight the descent. The spiral will generate airflow that breaks ice. You'll lose 1,500 feet, but you'll lose the ice. Then roll wings level on final approach. When do I roll out? I'll tell you. Trust me. I do. 2 words that change everything. Evan Banks left. 30 degrees. The artificial horizon, if it were working, would show them in a descending spiral, like a corkscrew through the sky. The passengers can't see the wings, can't see the runway. All they feel is the continuous left turn and the stomach-dropping descent. It feels like crashing. People scream. Someone hyperventilates. A child wails for her mother. Kesha's voice calm as death. Hold the bank, Evan. Airspeed increasing. That's good. Ice breaking free. Thunk, 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 thunk. Ice chunks the size of car hoods slamming into the fuselage. Sounds like the aircraft is being torn apart, but it's shedding weight, shedding drag, becoming lighter. 1,500 feet lost, Kesha calls. Airspeed 210 knots. 3, 2, 1, now. Roll right, wings level. Evan rolls out. The aircraft exits the spiral, and there directly ahead through the windscreen is runway 16R. Centerline perfect. 2 miles. Foam trucks lining both sides like white knights. Impossible, but real. Sarah's voice. United 2758, you are miracle aligned with the runway. I don't know how you did that, but you're cleared to land. Evan. Kesha, how did you? Later. Right now 1 mile. 50 feet. Idle thrust on engine 2. Thrust idle. Flare now. The runway rushes up. Closer. Closer. And the screen fades to black. The aircraft spirals left through 8,000 feet. 30-degree bank angle. Descending 2,000 feet per minute. To everyone in the cabin, it feels like falling, but it's controlled falling. Kesha's voice remains steady. Hold the bank, Evan. Don't fight the descent. Let the airflow work. The sound of ice breaking free is deafening. Thunk, 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 thunk. Chunks slamming into the fuselage like artillery strikes. Passengers scream. Vivian Cross covers her face. Marcus Wellington grips his armrest knuckles white, unable to form words. Airspeed increasing, Kesha calls. 205 knots, 210, ice shedding. That's good, Evan. Harold Peterson watches through the window. He can see chunks of ice, some the size of briefcases, spinning away from the wing. The aircraft is becoming lighter, cleaner, more flyable. 1,500 feet lost, Kesha announces, passing 6,500, 3, 2, 1, now. Roll right, wings level. Evan rolls out of the spiral. The aircraft exits the turn wings level. Nose pointed directly at the numbers painted on runway 16R. 2 miles. Centerline perfect. Sarah Rodriguez's voice over ATC carries audible disbelief. United 2758, you're perfectly aligned. I don't know how you did that. Cleared to land 16 right. The cabin erupts in gasps, some crying, some laughing hysterically. The emotional whiplash of thinking they were dying to realizing they might survive. Kesha, 1 mile Evan, airspeed 165 knots, 50 feet, idle thrust. Thrust idle. Hold center line. We're heavy. We're single engine. You're going to float. Let it happen. Long landing is safe landing. Copy. The runway rushes up. Foam trucks visible on both sides, white against brown tarmac. 20 feet, 10, 5. Flare now. Evan pulls back on the yoke. The main wheels kiss the runway, hard. A jolt that rattles teeth and pops overhead bins. But the gear holds. They're down. The instant wheels touch, Kesha's voice cuts through. Spoilers full. Maximum manual braking. Stay centerline. The aircraft decelerates but slowly. Ice-contaminated brakes. Single-engine thrust. No reversers on the dead engine. The right wing wants to pull them off centerline. Asymmetric drag. Right rudder, Kesha calls. More. Keep the nose straight. Evan's foot slams the right rudder pedal to the floor. The nose corrects. Centerline holds. 8,000 feet of runway consumed. 7,000 remaining. 6,000. 5. The end of the runway, visible now. Grass beyond. Lights. Foam dissipating in the prop wash. 4,000 feet. 3. The speed bleeds 90 knots, 80-70. 2,000 feet remaining. 60 knots. 50. 1,000 feet. 40 knots. 30. The aircraft shudders to a stop. 1,200 feet of runway remaining. For 3 seconds, nobody breathes. Then the cabin explodes. Applause. Crying. Strangers hugging. A man in row 17 collapses forward, sobbing into his hands. Kesha leans against the galley wall. Her legs are shaking. Adrenaline crash hitting hard and fast. Her right hand trembles, the first visible sign of stress she's shown since boarding. As she straightens, her hoodie sleeve rides up 6 inches. A patch is sewn onto the inner fabric. Black background, gold lettering, an F-35 Lightning II silhouette in profile. Below it, partial text, visible, I rage. Dr. Catherine Reed sees it. Her eyes widen. She knows that patch. She's seen it in military journals. Test pilot insignia. Oh my God, Catherine whispers. Kesha quickly pulls her sleeve down. But it's too late. Sarah Rodriguez's voice over the radio. United 2758, congratulations on an outstanding emergency landing. Fire equipment is approaching. Please state souls on board and injuries. Evan hands still shaking on the yoke. 244 souls. 0 injuries reported. 1 passenger cardiac event en route to hospital. Copy. Ground crew will assist. Welcome to Denver. The foam trucks surround the aircraft like a protective cocoon. Emergency crews deploy stairs to the forward door. Paige Scott opens the door. Cold Denver air rushes in crisp, clean alive. Passengers begin deplaning. Slowly, shakily. Many crying. Many unable to speak. Marcus Wellington stands frozen in his seat. His face is gray. He doesn't move. Grant Harlan's hands shake so badly he can't unbuckle his seatbelt. Vivian helps him. Neither speaks. Derek Stone stares at Kesha as she helps Catherine stabilize Captain Mitchell for the paramedics. Harold Peterson approaches Kesha, stands at attention, salutes formally. "Ma'am." Chief Master Sergeant Harold Peterson retired. "That was the finest piece of airmanship I've witnessed in 40 years. Kesha returns the salute. Military reflex. "Just doing what needed to be done, Sergeant." "No, ma'am. That was exceptional." Paramedics board with a gurney. They load Captain Mitchell carefully. Catherine accompanies them, still monitoring his vitals. As she passes Kesha, she stops. "You saved his life. And ours." "Who are you?" Kesha doesn't answer. Just helps guide the gurney down the stairs. 30 minutes after landing. The aircraft sits surrounded by emergency vehicles, their lights painting the fuselage in alternating red and white. Passengers have been evacuated to a mobile lounge. FAA Inspector Mark Torres boards the aircraft clipboard in hand, face grim. He finds Evan Brooks still in the right seat, staring at instruments that finally show stable readings. "First Officer Brooks, Inspector Torres, FAA. I need your statement on what happened here." Evan looks up, eyes hollow. "Sir, Captain Mitchell had a heart attack. Systems were failing. I was alone and—" His voice breaks. "Who advised you?" Evan points toward the cabin. "Her, the passenger in 12B. Torres walks aft, finds Kesha helping Paige Scott secure the cabin. She's refastening overhead bins, checking seat pockets, quiet, methodical, and visible again. "Ma'am, Inspector Torres, I need to speak with you." Kesha turns. "Yes, sir." "You advised First Officer Brooks during the emergency—" "I offered guidance when he requested help, yes, sir." "What are your qualifications?" Kesha reaches into her tote, pulls out the expired military CAC, hands it to him. Torres examines it. His expression shifts from skepticism to confusion. "This is Department of Defense issued, but it's expired 8 months ago." "Yes, sir. I separated from service to care for my mother." Before Torres can respond, Derek Stone and Marcus Wellington push into the cabin. "Inspector," Derek's lawyer voice fills the space. "I represent 47 passengers filing a class action lawsuit against United Airlines. This woman," he points at Kesha, "acted as pilot in command without legal authority. She coerced First Officer Brooks into reckless maneuvers that endangered every soul on board." Marcus holds up his phone. "I have video evidence. 8 minutes of her intimidating a young pilot." Grant enters behind them. "That spiral descent. We thought we were dying. She had no right." Torres holds up a hand. "Gentlemen, let me conduct my investigation." "We're filing FAA violations," Derek interrupts. 14 CFR 91.3, acting as PIC without authority. 14 CFR 121.542, interference with crew member duties. This woman committed federal crimes." Torres turns to Kesha. "Ma'am, how do you respond?" "I offered technical advice. First Officer Brooks made all final decisions. I never touched the controls." "But you pressured him." Marcus's voice cracks. "He's 27 years old with 1,200 hours. You exploited his inexperience." Torres's radio crackles. "Inspector Torres, this is Denver Approach Commander Rodriguez. I need to interject. I'm coming to your location." 5 minutes later, Sarah Rodriguez enters the cabin. She's off duty now in civilian clothes, but her bearing is unmistakably professional. "Inspector Torres." She hands him a USB drive. "Full audio recording of my frequency during the emergency, including authentication protocols." Torres plugs it into his tablet. The recording plays Sarah's voice. "United 2758, identify your advisor." Kesha's voice. "Passenger Kesha Washington, former military." Sarah. "Can you provide authentication, Ms. Washington?" Long pause. Then Kesha, quieter, call sign Mirage. Sarah. "Say again Kesha Mirage. Authentication code Alpha 79er." Torres looks up sharply. That's a classified USAF authentication code. How do I verify this? Sarah. I already contacted Buckley Space Force Base. They confirmed. That code is valid. Active status. Derek's face drains of color. Marcus goes silent mid-breath. Torres stares at Kesha. Ms. Washington, I think we need to make a phone call. FAA mobile office. A trailer on the tarmac. Torres sits across from Kesha phone on speaker. Ms. Washington, walk me through your qualifications. I flew F-35 Lightning II for the U.S. Air Force. 3,800 hours total time. Graduated from test pilot school at Patuxent River. I separated 8 months ago for family medical reasons. Why didn't you renew your commercial certificate? Kesha's voice is steady, but the exhaustion shows. My mother has stage 4 ovarian cancer. I'm her full-time caregiver. Didn't have time or resources for recertification. Torres makes notes. Your actions today technically violate FAR 91.3, acting as pilot in command without proper authority. However, 14 CFR includes emergency exception provisions. I'm inclined to rule this justified, but a knock at the trailer door. Derek Stone enters without waiting for permission. Marcus and Grant follow. Agent Torres. Derek's lawyer voice is back confident now that the initial shock has worn off. I represent 47 passengers filing suit against United Airlines and Ms. Washington personally. Mr. Stone, attorney, I have witness statements that this woman coerced First Officer Brooks into dangerous maneuvers. That spiral descent, passengers thought they were dying. Marcus steps forward. She had no authority, no current license. She manipulated a young pilot's fear. Grant holds up his phone. I have video. 8 minutes documenting her intimidation tactics. Torres turns to Kesha. How do you respond? I offered guidance. First Officer Brooks made every decision. I never touched the controls, never claimed command authority. Derek leans forward. But you pressured him. He's a 27-year-old with limited experience. You exploited his vulnerability during a crisis. I helped save 244 lives. Or you endangered them with unauthorized maneuvers outside standard procedures. Derek's eyes narrow. Ms. Washington, my clients include 3 FAA licensed pilots who were passengers. They all state your spiral descent was reckless and unnecessary. Torres's eyebrows raise. Other pilots were on board. Marcus nods. Row 19, Captain Reynolds retired, 20,000 hours. He said what she did was criminally negligent. This is new information. Other pilots, witnesses with credentials challenging Kesha's decisions. Derek presses the advantage. Furthermore, Ms. Washington's separation from military service wasn't voluntary. I have sources suggesting she was forced out after a training incident. Psychological evaluation concerns. Kesha's jaw tightens. That's false. Then provide records proving otherwise. They're classified. Convenient. Derek stands. Inspector Torres were filing formal complaints with the FAA, FBI, and DOJ. This woman's actions constitute domestic interference with aircraft operations. Federal prison, minimum 15 years. Marcus adds, if First Officer Brooks accepts blame, we'll sue him too. He allowed an unqualified passenger to override his authority. The trap is complete. Kesha is isolated. Her credentials questioned. Other pilots contradicting her. Legal threats multiplying. And Derek knows it. Ms. Washington, unless you can provide concrete verification of your qualifications and authority to act right now, I'm recommending you be taken into federal custody pending investigation. Torres looks uncomfortable. Mr. Stone, that's premature. Is it? She admitted her military credentials are expired and her service records are classified. For all we know, she's a fraud who Googled aviation terms. The trailer door opens again. Sarah Rodriguez enters phone in hand. Inspector Torres, I have Colonel Dan Richardson from Buckley Space Force Base on the line. He's requesting to speak directly with Ms. Washington. Derek, That's irrelevant. He said it's urgent. National security level. Torres takes the phone, puts it on speaker. A male voice, crisp military authority. This is Colonel Dan Richardson, USAF Buckley, AFB. Confirm you have Kesha Washington present. Yes, Colonel. Put her on. Kesha takes the phone. Yes, sir. Captain Washington, your mother is stable. I checked with Denver Health Medical Center. She's receiving care. Kesha's composure cracks for half a second. Tears well. Thank you, sir. Now, Agent Torres, you need to understand something. Richardson's voice carries the weight of 30 years command authority. Kesha Washington isn't just former military. She's one of 12 test pilots in the United States cleared to fly the F-35 Lightning II in full manual mode after total system failure. Torres sits forward. Colonel, I don't understand. In 2019, Captain Washington landed an F-35 at Edwards Air Force Base with 0 hydraulics, 0 electrical systems, and 1 engine. The aircraft was traveling 400 knots, more than double normal landing speed. She put it down on a 7,000-foot runway with 200 feet to spare. Silence in the trailer. I've reviewed the aircraft data from today's incident. What Captain Washington called the spiral descent. That's a classified maneuver officially designated Mirage Protocol. She designed it. We now teach it at test pilot school as emergency procedure for ice-contaminated aircraft. Derek's mouth opens, closes. No words come. Richardson continues. The authentication code she provided, Alpha 79er, is current and valid. That code is issued only to pilots with top-secret SCI clearance working on classified platforms. Marcus has gone pale. Grant has stopped recording. Torres finds his voice. Colonel, her CAC shows expired status. Administrative oversight. Her clearances remained active because she's on reserve status. We were processing her transition to contractor position when her mother's diagnosis accelerated. The paperwork lagged. Richardson's tone shifts harder now. Agent Torres, I'm requesting FAA issue Captain Washington an emergency temporary certificate effective immediately. She'll complete formal recertification within 30 days. Torres, Colonel, yes, approved. I'll process it. Mr. Stone, Richardson addresses the lawyer directly. I'm told you're threatening legal action. Let me be clear, Captain Washington acted under 14 CFR 91.3 emergency authority. Her actions were textbook crisis management. If you proceed with frivolous litigation, I'll personally ensure the Department of Defense files countersuit for harassment of a federal contractor with active security clearances. Derek sits heavily. I will reconsider. Do that. Richardson's voice softens. Captain Washington, I know you left to care for your mother, but after today we need you back. Not full-time, contract basis, training commercial pilots in high-altitude ice emergencies. Will you consider it? Kesha looks at Harold Peterson, who's been standing quietly in the corner. At Catherine Reed, visible through the trailer window, checking on Captain Mitchell. At Evan Brooks, who saved himself by trusting her. If my mother's care is covered, yes, sir. Done. USAF Medical will assume all costs. Full coverage. Kesha's throat tightens. She can't speak. Catherine enters the trailer. Without a word, she crosses to Kesha and hugs her. You saved all of us. Now let someone save you. Harold salutes. Formal. Crisp. Ma'am. Kesha returns it, tears streaming now. Evan appears in the doorway. Captain Washington. Kesha. He can't find words. Settles for thank you. You kept your head, Evan. That's what mattered. Marcus Wellington stands slowly, approaches. His face is ashen broken. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I judged you, mocked you. I've been that person my whole life. His voice cracks. I have no excuse. Kesha meets his eyes. Mr. Wellington, do you know why I didn't announce my credentials? Because we wouldn't have believed you. Because I wanted to see if you'd listen to the idea, not the uniform. You didn't. But you still have time to change. Marcus nods, unable to speak. He leaves the trailer. Derek follows him out. No apology, just shame. Grant stops at the door. Captain Washington, that tech you used today, the spiral descent, can I learn more about it? It's being declassified for commercial training. You'll see it soon. Harold approaches last. Captain in 30 years? Air Force I flew with a lot of pilots, but the best one I knew. She was quiet, didn't brag, just did her job. He pauses. You remind me of her. Call sign Phoenix. She died testing an F-16 in '03, but she taught me real aviators don't need to prove themselves. The sky does it for them. Kesha's voice is soft. What would her call sign be now? Sergeant, Harold smiles. Mirage, because she appears when needed and disappears when the work is done. 2 hours later, Denver International Airport Terminal. Kesha sits in a quiet corner waiting for her Uber to the hospital. The TV monitor above shows breaking news. Hero passenger saves United flight. A reporter stands in front of the aircraft. 244 passengers owe their lives to a mystery woman who guided a first officer through catastrophic systems failures. The FAA is calling it the most impressive display of airmanship in modern commercial aviation history. Cut to Evan Brooks being interviewed. His uniform is rumpled eyes red, but his voice is steady. I don't know where she came from, but Kesha Washington, Captain Washington, she's the reason we're alive. She didn't just know the procedures, she knew things that aren't in any manual. The reporter, can you give us an example? Evan, the spiral descent. She called it the Mirage Protocol. I've never heard of it. Turns out it's a classified military maneuver she designed for test flights. She literally wrote the book we'll be teaching from now. Vivian Cross approaches Kesha. Her eyes are swollen from crying. Phone in hand, but not filming. Captain Washington, I need to say something. Kesha looks up. You don't owe me anything. I do. Vivian's voice breaks. I posted horrible things. Called you. I judged you by your clothes and your appearance. I was cruel because it got me likes. She holds up her phone. I deleted my TikTok account. All of it. 47,000 followers. Gone. Vivian, I'm enrolling in community college, aviation maintenance program, because if I'm going to judge people, I should at least understand what they do. She wipes her eyes. You saved my life after I mocked you. I'll never forget that. Kesha stands, hugs her. You're learning. That's what matters. Grant Harlan appears next, the tech CEO who blocked her in the aisle. He carries his MacBook like a shield. Captain Washington. His voice is quiet, stripped of its earlier arrogance. I've been thinking about what happened, how I reacted, why I reacted that way. He opens his laptop, shows her his company's homepage. I run a tech company, 200 employees. Want to know how many are women of color in leadership positions? 0. Kesha says, Grant nods. 0, because I hire people who look the part, who went to the right schools, who dress the right way. I created a system that would have rejected you. He closes the laptop. I'm changing that, starting with hiring practices, blind resume reviews, mandatory bias training, and I'm funding a scholarship, $100,000 annually for women of color pursuing aviation careers. Kesha extends her hand. Thank you, Mr. Harlan. That's meaningful change. He shakes it. It's the least I can do. Marcus Wellington approaches last. His expensive watch is gone. His Armani vest is unbuttoned. He looks smaller, somehow diminished. Captain Washington, I don't expect forgiveness. What I said, how I acted, there's no excuse. His voice cracks. I quit my job at the hedge fund, donated $100,000 to women in aviation, Posted a public apology on LinkedIn explaining what happened and what I learned. He pulls out his phone, shows her the post. $47,000 in shares. Comments in the thousands. One comment stands out. I was on that flight. I watched him mock her. This apology doesn't erase what he did, but at least he's owning it. Marcus looks at her. I judged a hero by her hoodie. I will spend the rest of my life unlearning that instinct. Kesha's voice is gentle. Mr. Wellington, you're doing the work. That's what matters. Keep going. Her phone buzzes. A text from the hospital. Your mom is awake, asking for you. Kesha gathers her bag. Harold Peterson appears from a nearby gate, his wife beside him. Captain, we're headed to Denver Health 2, visiting my brother. Can we give you a ride? Kesha smiles. The first genuine smile since boarding the plane. I'd like that, Sergeant. As they walk toward the exit, Harold says, You know the best pilot I ever knew didn't need to announce herself. She just showed up when needed. Like a mirage in the desert there when you need her gone when the work is done. Kesha stops, looks at him. What was her name? Lieutenant Sarah Chen, call sign Phoenix. Died in a test flight in 2003 F-16 engine failure. His voice is soft. But before she died, she taught me something. She said, real aviators don't prove themselves to people. They prove themselves to the sky, and the sky never lies. Kesha's throat tightens. She sounds like someone I would have liked to fly with. She would have been honored to fly on your wing. Morning sun blazes across the Mojave Desert. Heat shimmers rise from the runway. Kesha walks across the tarmac toward an F-35 tail, number 695. Crew Chief Martinez meets her at the boarding ladder. Captain Washington, this is your bird today. Full electrical failure scenario at 30,000 feet. We're simulating total system loss. No instruments, no fly-by-wire, no hydraulics. Kesha adjusts her helmet. Has anyone successfully recovered from this scenario? No, ma'am. That's why you're doing it. She climbs into the cockpit, straps in. The canopy closes with a hydraulic hiss. Systems shut down in sequence. The glass cockpit goes dark. Backup instruments fail. The control stick goes limp. No fly-by-wire authority. Colonel Richardson's voice in her helmet. Mirage, you are 000. No instruments, no hydraulics, no computer assistance. Can you bring her home? Kesha's breathing is steady. 478. Yes, sir. Initiating spiral descent. She banks the aircraft into a controlled spiral, using only visual reference and kinesthetic sense, feeling the G-forces, the airflow, the way the aircraft responds. No instruments, just instinct. She rolls out at 5,000 feet. The runway appears directly ahead. Impossible alignment, but real. The F-35 touches down at 380 knots, eating up runway. The tail hook deploys, catches the emergency cable. The aircraft stops with 200 feet remaining. Kesha climbs out, removes her helmet. Her hands shake. She vomits from adrenaline behind the wing. Richardson approaches. That spiral descent. How did you calculate the rollout point with no instruments? I felt it, sir. The G-forces, the airspeed in the buffet, the sun angle through the canopy. Richardson nods slowly. We're calling it Mirage Protocol, after your call sign, because you made the impossible appear real. Denver Health Medical Center, room 447. Gloria Washington sits propped up in bed, oxygen cannula in her nose, but smiling. Baby, I saw the news. The whole world saw what you did. Kesha sits beside the bed, takes her mother's hand. Mama, they're covering your treatment. All of it. The surgery, the experimental therapy, everything. Gloria's eyes fill. You didn't have to save a plane for that. I didn't save them for you. I saved them because it's who I am. Kesha's voice breaks. But I'm glad it means I get to keep you. Gloria squeezes her daughter's hand. You were born to fly, Kesha. Even when you were little, you'd watch planes and say, Mama, that's where I belong. Now go back there. The sky misses you. 3 days later, FAA headquarters, Washington, D.C. Evan stands in a conference room. Administrator James Baker presents him with a certificate, Exceptional Airmanship Award. First Officer Evan Brooks for decisive action and superior judgment during multiple system failures. Evan accepts it, but his voice is steady. Sir, I didn't do this alone. Captain Washington deserves recognition. She'll get hers, son. But you kept your head. You trusted advice when others told you not to. That takes courage. Evan requests transfer to the training department. I want to teach what Kesha taught me, humility, and how to recognize competence even when it doesn't look like you expect. 6 weeks later, joint press conference, FAA Administrator and Air Force Chief of Staff stand together. We are announcing the Mirage Protocol Civilian Training Program. All Part 121 air carriers will train pilots in emergency spiral descent procedures for ice-contaminated aircraft. The program was designed by Captain Kesha Washington, USAF test pilot. Second announcement, FAA is mandating updated crew resource management training, new module recognizing expertise in non-traditional presentations. Pilots will learn to identify and utilize qualified assistants regardless of appearance or credentials format. Third, the Air Force is establishing the Washington Fellowship Fast Track Recertification for military pilots transitioning to civilian aviation, named after Captain Kesha Washington. 4 months later, Capitol Hill, Senate Aviation Subcommittee. Senator Patricia Williams addresses Kesha, who sits at the witness table in her USAF contractor flight suit. Captain Washington, if First Officer Brooks had refused your help based solely on your appearance, would 244 people be alive today? No, ma'am. And that's the problem. We have a culture that mistakes appearance for ability. That almost cost 244 lives. Legislation passes, the Washington Act. Emergency pilot recognition and rapid recertification requires FAA to fast-track emergency temporary certificates for military pilots with current clearances. Eliminates bureaucratic barriers that could prevent qualified pilots from assisting in emergencies. 1 year later, Marcus testifies before the Senate committee. My name is Marcus Wellington. A year ago, I mocked a woman on a flight because of how she dressed. That woman saved my life. I've spent this year trying to become the person who would have recognized her worth from the beginning. He details his scholarship fund, 47 recipients so far, women of color pursuing aviation careers, full flight training funding. I can't undo what I said, but I can help ensure the next generation judges pilots by their skills, not their appearance. The story goes viral. Not just aviation community's mainstream culture. Vivian's final TikTok video before deletion is reposted millions of times. I judge someone who saved my life. If you make assumptions based on appearance, stop. You might miss the person who saves you. Mirage Protocol trends worldwide. Aviation schools report 340% increase in applications from women of color. Captain Ray Mitchell, recovered from his heart attack, gives interviews. Kesha Washington represents everything right about aviation. Competence doesn't announce itself with uniforms. It announces itself when everyone else fails. 6 months after the incident, Buckley Space Force Base, Colorado. Kesha stands before a class of 30 commercial pilots, her USAF contractor patch visible on her flight suit. Behind her, a projection screen shows the spiral descent maneuver, now declassified, now taught worldwide. The Mirage Protocol isn't magic. It's physics and precision. But more importantly, it's about trust. Trusting your instruments when they work. Trusting your instincts when they don't. And trusting the person beside you even if they don't look like what you expect. A student raises her hand. Captain, is it true you flew a 787 without official credentials? Kesha pauses. I had credentials. They just didn't believe them because I wore a hoodie. Your job as a pilot isn't to prove yourself to passengers, it's to serve them, even the ones who doubt you. The class ends. Students file out. Harold Peterson enters unexpected, his wife beside him carrying a small wooden box. Captain, my family wanted you to have something. He opens the box. Inside a flight suit patch, faded with age. F-16 Viper silhouette. Call sign Phoenix. This belonged to Lieutenant Sarah Chen. Her family heard your story. They wanted you to have her patch. They said she'd be honored to know another quiet hero was carrying her legacy. Kesha's hands shake as she takes it. Sergeant, I can't. You can. Because you remind them of her. Competent. Humble. There when needed. Gloria appears in the doorway, using a walker but steady, her treatment working. Baby, your student said you're teaching 200 pilots this year. Kesha wipes her eyes. Just doing my part, Mama. That's not just your part. That's changing the world. They walk together to the parking lot. Overhead, a 787 on approach to Denver International landing lights glowing. Kesha stops, watches it descend. Perfect glide slope. Smooth touchdown. You miss it, Gloria asks. Flying. Every day. But I'm still flying, Mama. Just from the ground now, teaching others. That's not flying. That's legacy. Kesha smiles. Same thing. The 787 touches down. Clean. Safe. Routine. Kesha whispers to the evening sky. Welcome home.